Thursday night can only mean one thing. It's another edition of the AUDL Thursday Night Rewind presented by Deschutes. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Pittsburgh Thunderbirds and the Madison Radicals from 2015. I'm Evan Lepler. Presumably you knew that. My two guests tonight, basically the guy that runs the AUDL, Tim DeByl, a prestigious dignitary, and on the other side of your screen, basically the guy who's got his finger on the pulse of the ultimate community 24/7, 365. That's Tad Wissel, who had several spectacular seasons with the Pittsburgh Thunderbirds. Gentlemen, how are we?
Great.
Doing well.
Glad to be here.
Before we get into the game, let's just, catch up on life. Tad, we get to hear from you via the Sin the Fields podcast. It looks like you haven't gotten a haircut in a while, but that's nothing new. How are you in the Steel City?
Doing well. Trying to stay safe, trying to stay sane. And we got the official word yesterday that Spring League was canceled in Pittsburgh, which is a shame because we'd already done the draft, had a really good team. But most of all, and this is critical with any league team, you got to have a great name. So it is my sad duty to inform everyone that Sentient Bedpan will not have a chance to win Pittsburgh Ultimate Spring League in 2020. And that's the real shame of this whole pandemic.
Yeah, I remember reading about that last night on the Washington Post website. It was not marquee news, but it was below the fold. Tim, you are in Madison, where KPS last night said there was some snow in April, but I hear it's nicer now.
Yeah, we had some snow in April, but yeah, it's nice. Today was 50, 55 degrees, and I'm getting out to throw with my kids every once in a while. So, but yeah, pretty much stuck in the house otherwise.
Before we get into things, Tim, I know you didn't watch it live. Did you get a chance to catch up on the Live with Lep on Instagram last night?
I did not. I have not yet watched it. I heard some rumors.
No worries. You're a busy guy. It's fine. But KPS told a story about his first ever Radical tryout. And, he said you didn't know his name, you didn't know who he was, no one knew who he was, and you were a player in this tryout, and apparently he intercepted one of your throws for a Callahan. Can you confirm or deny this story?
I'm going to deny that. I don't think we have footage of that, so it's probably not true. I definitely remember there was a reason why I picked him, and I think that was probably to make myself look a little better in everybody's eyes. So, the guy who got the Callahan on me, we have to take that guy. He's amazing. But, yeah, I don't remember that much about it, but I remember at the end of the night when we all got together, being a big advocate for him and people being like, I'm not sure who that was. And it's like, oh, that kind of blonde-haired kid. But, yeah, he probably got a Callahan on me. He might be making that up, though. It's potentially possible.
That's a real – you just denied it, and then you didn't deny it, and then you denied it again. We're off to a great
It was
start.
8 years ago. And I don't remember ever throwing a Callahan, to be honest, ever. So, there's none on film, I don't think, hopefully.
You didn't film your tryouts? You didn't have a camera in there? You don't have that,
we did.
old footage?
We did. Yeah, I might have footage from it. We have footage from it for sure.
Could. Get Adam to go through that with Linscomb tomorrow. So, Tad, you played a couple years for the Thunderbirds, 3 years, I believe. What do you remember from that 2015 season when, you guys, I think, finished 12-2, were neck and neck with Madison much of the year, had a really talented team, and you were a big part of it.
Yeah, we had a good squad in 2015, and I think this game, at least for the men's scene in Pittsburgh, was kind of the highlight of the whole summer in terms of club, pro, and everything else. This is the year of the Temper-Dire-Wolf merger, the first year. So this is finally the city had gotten its stuff back together and had a United Open team for the first time since 2008. And this was kind of our ceiling on display in this game, and like how good the team could be, or in that group could be. But this was this was also it. We certainly took our lumps for Madison on a lot of different fields that year, including like a month later at Bro Flight when we got absolutely dogged by Mad Club. So yeah, I want everyone to think about the game through that prism. It's like this is what it could have been like in 2015 had we gotten it together.
Well, Tim, just to set the scene, I mean, the game that we're going to watch took place on June 6th. But a month earlier, May the 2nd, you played Pittsburgh for the first time at Breese Stevens Field and beat them pretty handily. It was a 24-18 final score. With that said, Tyler DiGirolamo had 9 assists in that game, completed 48 of 50 throws, felt like he was 15 for 15 with like 60-yard hammers. So, I mean, what was your mindset as a team going into the game, the rematch in Pittsburgh?
Well, I remember, it was weird because we took a school bus to Pittsburgh, which was just terrible. And the field was up in the mountains or something, and like the bus driver like couldn't navigate the road at all, and it took an extra hour to get there. Like we were like, we're almost there. And I remember just everybody just feeling a little bit like unready to play by the time we got there. So, but I mean, we were taking the Pittsburgh team very seriously. They were super talented, and I mean, we were on a 20-some game win streak in the Midwest. I mean, so we had won all of our games up to then, and then the year before, or no, I guess the year before we'd lost a couple. So this was part of a 20-some game win streak. But it was a big game, and we were really excited to be able to play them. They were a really fun team to play. I mean, Alex Thorne, Earls, Tad. They just had a lot of interesting, fun players. We definitely focused a lot on Tad in the pregame.
Yeah, that's why you lost the game.
I mean, yeah, but yeah, they was a super talented team and fun team. I mean, they threw the disc deep a lot. They weren't afraid of scoobers and hammers, and one team that really liked to play our zone. I feel like they seemed to enjoy it. So we were excited to go play that game for sure.
Stuff. Well, let's dive in. Tad, what was the venue for this game?
I'm glad you brought that up. I just want to make a geographical correction for Tim. This is up in Indianola, so you go up 28 North, and there's a Blawnock exit. You don't want the Blawnock exit. You want to go to the next exit, Harmerville. There's a Permanis. There's an old roller rink. You make a left, and it's 2.5, 3 miles down the road by the old Foodland. So
got it. Those are the directions you were given, actually, now that I think back at it.
The old Foodland. Yeah, that's a good – you got to know where the old Foodland is to get anywhere in Pittsburgh.
Yeah. They didn't have GPS in 2015 either, so we were relying on directions probably from you.
So our viewers right now are seeing the first point of the game from a field level. Luke, we are not seeing the game. We're seeing us big screen. So I imagine there's a button you can hit to allow us to see the game as well. We got the Radicals in the white, and Madison takes a 1-0 lead on what looked like a really smooth huck.
So you can see there's Jay. This is I think his probably second or third game with us. This is his first season, and he's wearing some sort of giant knee brace. He'd been coming off ACL surgery, I think 12 months before this or so.
This was like our biggest chum crowd of the season this year. We had like 700 and some people. And on a nice day, this venue in Pittsburgh, it really can't be beat. The natural grass field was a lot different than our main venue that year, which was a turf high school stadium for the City League teams.
Yeah, it was I remember the venue, and I remember the fans being right up on the field, which made it really fun as far as the energy, like especially when you got near that sideline, was really, really high. This is
Madison
us coming out in zone. Yeah, we do a lot of double teaming in this game. They do a lot of swinging back and forth. this was sort of the height of our zone. 2015 was probably the year that we used it the most. We started to really go away from it a lot in 2016, 2017, 2018 as far as it being like, I think back then we were probably playing half of our points in zone for this season.
Do you feel like people have gradually figured it out, or you just get more athletic defensively overall?
I think it's a combination of we really figured out how to use a lot of our zone skills that we practice in our person defense. And so that, I think I prefer to play man-to-man when we can, as long as people play it more like a zone in a lot of ways. So, but yeah, we also got more athletic. I mean, the first few years I was actually playing in the zone, and so a lot of it was developed in order to get me on the field. So, but as we got more athletic, we definitely went more to person defense matchup.
Yeah, the knowledge, just like of how to use the AUDL rule set, is something that we really did not have at the start of this season. And honestly, probably the next year too, like where it seems like, as Madison and Indy, I always thought was very good at being able to set double teams and knowing when to do it and knowing when to put themselves in a position to like minimize risk when setting one, is like something that we definitely did not have that like the first year and a half of Thunderbirds.
Yeah, and it's interesting to just watch like this game versus like the more, the 2019, 2018 style games. I think everybody has gotten a lot better at double teaming and handling double teams and understanding where they work. I think it took a long time. Like the first, 3 or 4 years, I feel like we were pretty much the only team that really practiced a lot around the double team. And so it was a huge advantage and probably a big reason why we won so many games in a row. But I think, yeah, Indy was one of the first teams to start to adjust. You guys adjusted. Pretty much everyone adjusted except for Chicago. I'm not sure that they ever have figured it out exactly. I'm not sure if they just don't practice it, but they still struggle with double teams. They're the one team that we really still do a lot of double teaming against.
One of our big counters. Tim, do you know what happened to Jay on that point?
I think he just tweaked his knee. He ends up playing after, but he definitely was out for a little bit here, I think. This whole year, I don't think he ever felt great. Even when we went to championship weekend, I remember being a little worried about him playing back-to-back games. I remember he did get through it, but he still managed to be really explosive. I think in this game, he makes a couple really amazing layouts. Even with that giant brace and his knee issue, like, wow, that was bad defense. He's still really explosive. I guess that was Tyler. That's probably why that was bad defense. Tyler was so good this year.
He was a beast, man. He was. Yeah, this is prime Ty D right here. Still like fully healthy, and just like coming off of all of those reps with Alex, Thorne, Pat Earls, and Max, which made for like a really, really efficient O-line core.
Hey, Tad, there you are.
Hey, getting kind of broken around. Nice.
Now, is that a team headband you're wearing? Is that a legitimate headband, you think, the green?
That's before they cracked down, before the league cracked down, unless you are someone like Ty D who could wear like a bike messenger hat your whole career for no reason. But I just kind of never said anything. It's true. Yeah, I was like, why do I have to wear a white headband and Ty gets to wear the stupid bicycle hat? And the answer, of course, is because he's Ty D. There's not a lot of math to it, but.
So we're zoning again. So, this is tough. You got Earls, Thorne, and Tyler D as your 3 handler set against the zone. And Aaron Watson, right? That was Aaron, I think, right there. He was a good player, actually. I don't know. He hasn't played for quite a few years, but Vats is still playing. I mean, this is just a pretty good offensive team. Was Fedorenko playing D back then? He was, right?
Yeah, Fedge was on D, and it was the never-ending source of making fun of Fedge in practice. Like, can I play offense, Hogan? Please let me play offense. And then absolutely not. And every turnover he ever had, it's that's why you can't play O. In any drill, drop a water bottle that someone throws him. It's that's why you're on the D line, Fedge.
He turned into a pretty good O-line player.
Oh yeah, Fedge is a beast. I think he just had a lot of maturing to do between the years, but the physical tools are already there. And there's David Batts, 87 years old. Look at him.
Yeah, I feel like he's been around since the league started. Speaking of 87 years old, there's Jaden Scullion, who was 40 this year, or maybe 39. So we had a pretty old lineup. You got Tom, and you got Andrew Brown, and Jaden is our handler core there.
Is Riggles in this game?
No, we didn't bring our tall guys. We didn't have Riggles or Weber in this game. So
okay.
I don't remember why. I mean, we had
a year, right?
Yep. Yeah.
Did he have any growing pains transitioning to the AUDL?
Colin?
Yeah.
No, not really. This was his first year. He was really good for us. I mean, by the end of the year, by championship weekend, he was, one of our best players. I think there was a little growing pains of just we already had such a tight knit group, and anytime you try to integrate somebody, it's hard. But as far as the gameplay, I mean, he's athletic and fast, and so AUDL just is better for those types of players. Sorry, Tad, just didn't mean to that hit home at all, but. The speedier and the bigger you are, I feel like the game plays better. I mean, that's why Tyler is such a monster in this game. The field size doesn't affect his throws at all, and he's got room to run everywhere. Just makes him a really tough cover. I think this point goes on forever, if my memory serves me correctly.
This is a critical O-line hold.
Thunderbirds. No, this was the play where they called him out. He wasn't in, and he thought he was in, and then they called travel. And for some reason, your team is upset about this travel call. I don't know why. It seemed like a good thing for y'all, as opposed to giving us a goal there or whatever. But yeah, we end up turning it here, and then it goes on forever from what I remember. You guys are doubling here.
Yeah, but was that a good double team? Not really.
Well, you're pushing us back, and then I think right here, yeah, that throw. That was a swing. This ends up being a pretty big swing point, I think. Because I think we were frustrated. In retrospect, I don't think he was actually in, but at the time, we were pretty sure he was in, of course. So I think we got a little tilted by the fact that the goal didn't count, and then
wow,
that's a crazy throw.
They don't teach that one.
No. That was the 80-yard crossfield. So, I mean, what is that? Somebody do some quick math. What is that, 200 yards then?
It's kind of break into the force side. The wrong throw to the force side.
Coach takes time
Tim,
out
question
here.
For you. Donnie James is asking, what's your drink? And also, how eager are you to get back to the best bands in Oakland?
I am drinking some wine, Sauvignon Blanc, and I am super excited to get back in the field. I don't know when it will happen, but I'm really would love to see a season happen this year. and we're still planning like it's going to.
Drop your name in the mug, write it down, and drop it in the mug, right at the center here, and hopefully we'll see you at halftime.
Tad, Kevin Quinlan seems to imply in the comments that he might have gotten cut from the Thunderbirds.
Quinlan?
What?
You know anything about that?
Yeah, he was coming down to stuff from Rochester when the Dragons folded. R.I.P. Rochester Dragons. Yeah, what was that? Maybe it was 2017 or something. I mean, I don't know if he was cut so much as like lived in Rochester. I was not going to be able to make anything other than games. So,
I mean,
but you know what?
getting
Tom
cut-
Hogan, another brilliant cookie.
We took Jay this year, Tad, and he lived in Missouri, which, if you don't know the map, it's pretty far. Oh wow, that was a terrible hand block.
A heck of a sacrifice he made.
Oh man, he drove to everything too. It was crazy. And then Dallas came in and gave him direct flights to everything, and he chose the evil side. But you'll note that he's never actually won a championship with Dallas.
I'm sure he appreciates the reminder.
If you simply had more.
The day of the I'm not going to tell that story. It's probably Jay might get mad at me.
I mean, that's a heck of a
How
tease
far
right
is
there.
Missouri?
Well, I don't remember exactly what I said to him, but I remember he got mad. It was the 2018 championship game, and I was talking to him before the game, and I said something to the effect of like, today is going to be sort of a sad day or something. And he's like, oh, why is that? And I was like, well, I love winning, but I hate seeing you lose or something. And he really took it badly. Like it was like out of context for me. And I just remember feeling kind of bad as I walked away. Turned out that it was fine.
Chris Brennan board.
By the way, Tad, Andrew Gardner chimes in. I believe Hogan admitted cutting Quinlan was a huge oversight.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
it's got to be like top 5 assists in the last 2 years, right?
He's a heck of a good player, yeah.
He's been setting the world on fire.
Well, and he's super committed to whatever team he's on. Like, I mean, he basically, well, then that was when he went to Montreal at that point, and he's been basically a pure Montreal guy since, right?
I think he lives there now, too.
Right, he would have moved to Pittsburgh United, Pittsburgh Ultimate.
Yeah.
And you guys put him.
Right. You know what, though? I probably would have gotten cut to make room for another handler. So, like, it's cool with me, actually, that he didn't pick up Quinlan. Sorry,
So that
Quinlan.
was,
Hey, Tad.
oh, go ahead.
Tad, what was your best year as an Ultimate player? Like, when you look back, what age were you in the best shape and playing the best Ultimate of your life?
2013, I was 27.
Oh, nice.
I just felt really good that whole year. My weight was down. I had some pretty impressive physical challenges that year, including I ran the Poultry Days 5K before Poultry Days the tournament. You know, like I got third in that, went sub 18 and then played a whole tournament. And then later that year I ran a 7:30 beer mile, which is, I mean, that's like the equivalent of running probably like a 4:20 regular mile.
Yeah.
In this case, of course, handicapped
Basically,
the
the Roger Amateur of the beer mile.
Yeah. We played in the Mid-Atlantic Regional Final that year, so it was a good year all around. But I would say then after that, it was like, oh, God. And everything started to hurt. and you watch your body just like turn to ash. But I was still
How old were
faking
you
it
here?
in 2015.
How old are you in this game?
30, 29?
30.
29.
Or
Yeah. Yeah, but I was
85 or
still,
86.
Oh, I think we.
What's that?
Oh, right there. That was a great play. That like popped in my head that was about to happen. I don't know if anybody saw that layout, but that's sort of right there was sort of like what the zone is designed to do, was just keep you guys out of the end zone long enough for someone to make a play, which actually worked there.
Good crowd work.
It really is a great crowd. Oh.
You always had to keep an eye on the kids at this field, because behind that, like the building you see there, in the background was a creek that definitely had copperheads in it. So you didn't want to let your kids or your dogs stray over there. I used to pee back there, just as a heads up, so I knew about it. We're no longer
Not a
allowed to
creek.
play field. No.
Not a creek, but a crick.
A crick, that's exactly right. See, like, that's an effective double team, Tim. Like, we didn't have any of those this whole year.
Yeah, I mean, double teaming in the middle of the field is never the right place to do it, really. We tend to try to get you to the sideline first and then double team you.
I mean, just like the pressure, like tight to start and then like backing off once the guy pivots out and is overextended. Like that's an important nuance of it that that we didn't get the first couple of years.
Yeah. So Shepard's playing in this game. He was 19, right, at this time, or something like that, or 12. Or
Yeah,
something.
the midshipman of Navy.
I saw him make a play a little bit
Second
ago.
most talented Edinburgh product in this game.
I'm sorry, Evan, one more time.
Shep, the second most talented Edinburgh product in this game.
No, Shep surpassed me as a college player, probably at Skylander his freshman year. Yeah, and he's like, you see, like, he has the tools, the flashes. His pulls were really huge this whole year and have continued to be, but like that was the way that he found playing time early and like got on D1 in more situations, because he could really pin people to the back corner. But like where he's gone from then to these last two AUDL seasons has just been freakish. Also, he doesn't destroy his body with drugs and alcohol, which is oftentimes rare. Quite a leg up.
Yeah, he really. I mean, I've seen him kind of develop, and like last year, he was unstoppable. I mean, I think when we went to Pittsburgh and lost, he pretty much. Edmonds played really well too, but he just dominated us. Like one guy just single-handedly ripped us apart. Super impressive.
So, Tim, I'm only like half watching the game, but it feels like the Radicals are hucking more than usual.
Yeah, we. I think they were going to score a lot of points this game, and I think we kind of recognize that, and people are, trying to score quickly, maybe getting a little bit out of the schemes. I don't remember. I kind of remember feeling like we were on tilt after that not goal from Mechanix, and I think a lot of what you're seeing as far as just bad decision making comes from that. There really aren't. I looked at the stats of this game. There really aren't that many turnovers in this game, though. It's I think we have 9 and they have 7 or something crazy. So it's actually a pretty clean game, versus the one in Madison, which had they turned it over 19 times or something previous. So it's also a beautiful night for Ultimate, and they're playing on grass, and you're in this valley, and there's no wind, and So I mean, it was going to be a pretty clean game, but I think when we turned it over, it was because we were being really aggressive.
And Tim, if I remember correctly, and I obviously was not at this game. I don't remember where I was this night, but didn't you like stream this game from your iPhone with some primitive, 5 years ago equipment?
Looks like it. This game, was streamed. I think it's actually funny. There's 3 cameras here, but I think that we had to remaster this, and like the main cam, the 50-yard cam, is like missing a bunch of footage. So like eventually some of it comes into play, but you're seeing these 2 weird like end zone cam angles, which is it's just kind of a weird view, but it does give you an interesting like look at different, actual like the throwing mechanics and stuff and the trapping and stuff. It looks more interesting from this angle, but it's hard to see what's going on downtown. But yeah, this is definitely, the still iteration 1 of the AUDL. I mean, there's a lot of weird stuff going on in this game as far as like cameras, and reffing is not yet great, and who knows, I'm sure lots of weird stuff probably happens, but
Ruffner reminds me, I think it was a Periscope. Back when Periscope was a thing. I remember watching part of the game on Periscope.
Yeah, Periscope was big then. Yeah, we did a bunch of Periscoping that year.
Zoom is the Periscope of 2020.
This is also the year we were trying to work on the peak data stuff, where we were using those iPhones to like track player movement. Never ended up coming to fruition. Wow, that was a careless turnover by us for sure. But yeah, this was a fun year overall for me. Minus this game, of course. So Tyler loved these big cuts, like those 40-yard horizontal cuts. He just killed us. He outrun everybody on those cuts. I don't know if that was actually part of any kind of offense he ran, or you just let him run around, Tad. Was there any kind of like Tyler rules? Because I feel like he did stuff that you're just like, what is he doing? He's like making a 40-yard strike cut, but he just outran everybody, and it worked every time.
Yeah, there were a lot of things. Yeah, there were a lot of things that Tyler did that really only could work for Tyler, and for no one else. And yeah, like we said before, this is peak Tyler. But I mean, those 40-yard strike cuts, that stuff works because you start him in the handler space, and you as soon as he starts moving downfield, you got to give him a lot of room as a defender.
I don't think there was anybody that we game planned for more than him, and I feel like there wasn't anybody who it was less effective. Well, okay, Ashland Joy. Other than Ashland Joy, that nobody managed to like destroy our game plans worse than Tyler did.
And yet you still beat Tyler's team more often than not.
Yeah, that's true. We did. We only lost to these guys once in this era, for sure. Whereas we lost to Ashland's team 3 times in a row. 3 times in a row. We were close all 3 times, though.
I remember we played the playoff game this year at Breeze-Stevens, and we knew Tyler was like dinged up a little bit, like his hamstring was fatigued, and he'd been like really struggling with some stuff. And the first time he cut deep in that playoff game, he pulled up lame. And shout out to Big Jim Aspholm, who at Breeze-Stevens cheered super heavily as Tyler limped off the field. That was a great moment in AUDL Athlink.
Well, I have some stories around that too. Like so that era particularly, like players were not used to having fans who were, booing them and heckling them and whatnot to the level at which it was happening. And Pat Earls, before a game, basically came to me and asked we could not put them on the home sideline. And I mean, it was a nice ask, and he asked nicely, but we didn't. We still kept him on the home sideline. And during the middle of the game, he stopped the game and he came over to me and he said, "You have to come over here and tell these fans to stop yelling at me." And it's the only time that I actually ever did that. Like, I went over there and I was like, "Can you guys keep it down a little bit?" And I think it was, in his defense, like there was like a drunk like Hodag reunion that had played Pitt Ultimate a bunch, and so like they were riding him pretty hard, but like players were not yet used to like having fans right in their ear. And like it kind of like if you guys would have stuck us over on that sideline, the far sideline, right in front of those fans, like how difficult it would be to concentrate. I think it's a neat part of like the league, and it's something that is growing on people, but Pat definitely was not excited about that at all.
Well, I mean, I've got to say, if I'm a drunk Hodag fan, I definitely would have to heckle Pitt, because Pitt as a program has completely eclipsed Wisconsin in terms of success over the last decade. So you got to take your shots when you can.
Right. No, I mean, that's accurate.
I mean, the only comparison. Not sorry, Hodags. I think the only comparison really is like playing deep into the bracket at like a huge party tournament, and some of the heckling that goes on there. Like that's part of the thing that makes Bree Stevens such a tough place to play. And those people paid money to come and watch Ultimate Frisbee, which few people are doing. So I think you gotta take the abuse if it's being given to you.
Yeah, I mean, I think
Anson,
over time. There's Anson, former Radical. Shout out Anson.
He's the only guy that's played for both franchises, right?
I think so.
It's got to be. That's got to be true. Yeah.
It has to be.
Well, he won a championship too, so I mean, you've got at least one Pittsburgh player who's won a championship. That's good.
Didn't you also like not dress him for that game? Didn't you like sit him down and you were like, Anson?
Well, he hadn't. So like,
this is a job of manager.
That's true. But like he was living in Chicago and practicing and playing with us, and then he moved back to Pittsburgh with like a month and a half left of the season, and so we hadn't seen him play, for so long, and like he certainly was like more talented than some of the players that we had in the field, but like we just hadn't seen him play, and so it was really hard to get him on the field, and we were in such a groove without him that I just didn't want to mess with it. So but he's a talented player, and I really liked having him on the team, and it just didn't work out. I mean, he was planning on not going back to Pittsburgh, but for whatever reason he was drawn back to that, to the great land of Pittsburgh.
David Batts says that you think Tarek may have played one game for Pittsburgh.
That's true. Tarek, yes, Tarek, he played one game in 2016, maybe 2017. That's entirely accurate now that you say it.
Batts clutch as usual.
Yep. Tarek also played a game in Detroit.
Question: who's played for the most franchises total? I mean, Goose has played for 5 franchises in all 4 divisions.
Brett's got to have played close to that, right?
will be Windchill will be his 5th franchise, I believe, this year. Chicago, Indy, DC, and Raleigh.
Didn't he play somewhere before Chicago?
What?
Didn't he play somewhere before Chicago? Where did he play before Chicago?
I don't believe he played in the AUDL before Chicago. But I could be mistaken.
He might not have.
Tad, I got a good question for you here. Courtesy of the all-time leading scorer in the AUDL, Cameron Brock. He wants to know which player from Madison you hated playing against the most.
Ooh. I would have
or
to
just
go
the
with
player
my
you
man.
hated.
I'll say playing against. We'll keep it fun. I would say my man Brian Kevin Hart. And not because of any on the field AUDL thing, but because when he was still in school at Marquette, I think he did his 5th year at Marquette. Is that correct? Right. Okay. I went to High Tide as a 27-year-old 2 weeks from turning 28, and we were playing Marquette in finals. But the rub was I was playing with Montclair State, who I was not originally there with. So I was playing in finals with High Tide, my 20th game on the week, and it was a pretty tight game in the first half. And I remember like walking in a dead disc, and he's like, "You're not even supposed to be on this team." I was like, "I'm 28. I'm not supposed to be here at all," which didn't seem to make it. Like, it didn't like soothe him in any way. So Brian Hart, nice D by that. God, man, it's like an old bloodhound.
That was. Oh, look at that.
Yeah, so you could have seen this. This could have been Pittsburgh Temper at Nationals in 2015. It wasn't at all. It could have been.
There's a guy, Brian, right there.
He seems like a nice guy. No, there's no.
Yeah, no, he's a great dude.
Also, I like short people. I naturally like short people.
Wow, we really do huck a lot this game, don't we? Coolidge,
Heck of a grab.
shortest guy, always making the play though.
Do you think that
Oh wait,
spike
we
got
did
everyone?
take a school bus this game. Look at back there. There's we did take a coach bus this year.
I don't want to
saw
say
that
anything, but I noticed that before. There can't
It
be
must
a
have been the
second
20.
coach bus.
Yeah, no, that was our coach bus. Yeah, we took maybe it's the next year. One year we decided to take a school bus, and it was a disaster.
I think I remember that. I remember you guys rolling up in a school bus and wondering
what
about
we were
the
thinking.
the league. Very concerned
Well, I mean,
about
those
it.
coach buses. I mean, but it was still that coach bus couldn't get around the corners up to this, wherever this thing was, past the paint store or
Indianola.
whatever. Yeah, it was. I mean, it was just a tiny little road. I think we were supposed to come in on a different highway or something. What just happened?
That was an end of
Luke,
half.
can you rewind that? Luke, if you can rewind that so we can just see the end of that first half.
It seemed like a disaster of some sort. Did we try to huck it and then?
There's not much time left, presumably.
It must have got blocked right there. Something? I don't know. Camera angles.
Not Emmy Award winning. All right,
Yeah.
Luke, pause the game for a moment. So it's 14-10 at the half. Tim, I don't know if the Radicals have ever been down by 4 at the half before.
No,
do you
I don't
remember
think we've
what
ever been. I mean, I do remember being pretty upset about it, and I think what we talked about was that we had beaten these guys by 6, and we fully expected them to go 13-1 this year if we lost this game, and so we started focusing on narrowing the score and making sure that it was tight, because basically if we were both 13-1, it comes down to point diff, and so you kind of see that in this game. But I remember kind of turning the energy towards every point matters, and we want to make sure that we get this game as tight as possible. It just felt like we were going to lose, to be honest. What I remember is that it was something to do with the trip and the bus, but we just didn't have the same energy they did, and they had their full team, and we're actually playing in front of a really good Pittsburgh crowd. I think that was energizing them, and you kind of got this feeling that we'd have to find some way to make it into a positive game. And so kind of the energy turned to let's get this game close and keep it close. which is not a normal message for me, but I do remember feeling this weird energy that game that we just needed to make sure that we didn't get blown out completely. Like, that had never happened before to us either, right?
Tad, Thunderbirds are feeling pretty good, I imagine.
Yeah, we went into our small little locker room there, and you hear it in the field audio, but Coach David Hogan says, like, time after time, like hundreds of times during this game, the same way you'd give up calls, he just yells side to side over again, rail to rail, over and over, because we had, game plan that our best way to beat the double team and to beat those zones was just to move it and really use that extra 10 yards of width that we as newcomers to the AUDL were not used to. And and even that eats clock, and longer possessions make a 4-point lead even harder to overcome.
Good stuff. All right, 14-10 at the half, Pittsburgh in front. Before we get to the third quarter, we got a little Tad Wissel feature from Blast from the Past. Off the record.
Oh,
Tad, you remember?
I do.
You want me to go right now?
The dude came up to me because Ty D was hurt
if you have
and
an hour
unavailable.
to kill and you want to get weird,
He was like,
out
"Hey
something
man,
else."
so Tyler says he won't
we
do
won't
it.
be the Everyman
Can I-
podcast. We're
can
not
we
for elite
do one of
ultimate
these
players.
with you?"
We're
I was
probably
like, "Sure, man."
further from elite ultimate
Sure.
players than anything else. If people ask, I'm like, it's like a ultimate culture podcast. And they're like, what do you mean
That
ultimate
name.
culture? Like plays and stuff? I'm like, no, not like plays and stuff
Tim, that
at
headband.
all.
AUDL.
Like
the
hanging
legal
out and like
AUDL.
tournaments and party
Totally
tournaments
legal.
and weird ultimate news.
I think I've seen you wear
It's
a
really
camel
weird at
hat
times. As
before
Pat
in
and I
game,
often
too.
say, like the stuff that we cut out of
Did
the
that ever
show
happen?
is the burn folder. We
Did
wouldn't
I?
have
I
to move
definitely
to a
wore a
different
camel
country.
hat during game.
Ultimate should be accessible, and all the goofiness
For the troops,
and the
though.
weirdness. I think that's something relatable regardless of who listens. Ridiculous.
All right, into the
Nice.
third quarter we go. And Tad, you were talking about in the field then. You were probably, 40, 50 episodes deep. Congratulations. I understand you're recording your 100th in the fields episode this weekend.
Yeah. We're recording Sunday. It'll be out next week. So everybody take a listen, because if there was ever one that was going to get us totally canceled and ruin us professionally and in the ultimate community, the only thing we'll have anymore, it's going to be this episode 100. So definitely tune in.
This is the episode where everything from the burn folder gets played.
Oh my God. Like it. Yeah, that would be so bad. But the burn folder does exist, and I'm looking forward to giving it to like one of my living relatives when I'm dead in 4 years. They'll get to just release it whenever they want.
It's got to be a certain price, right? Like someone's going to donate a certain amount of money to, whether it's Ultimate Peace or the Red Cross or whatever it might be. Everyone has a price.
Yeah, every man has a price, as Ted DeByl used to say. And it was. We
Probably
just saw
we're the
that
only
camera
people
angle.
gonna get that, Tad.
Right, that's a shame. Like this camera angle, we didn't have this at all in the first half, and like, wow, this is a superior way to watch Frisbee than the tight
Yeah,
ends.
like I said, I think the remastered this camera was missing from the main folder. So every game ever is stored on a master media drive, and sometimes things go wrong and we're missing stuff.
Yeah, we were
But it's much
using like
easier to see.
we had a production company that I think was also kind of getting used to filming Ultimate this year. There's Hogan with a rail in a dicey sideline situation there. Oh God.
Oh,
That could have been the one, Tim. That makes it 14-12. Side to side.
oh wow, yeah. Well, you guys get up, I think, by 6 in this game or something crazy eventually.
I think later, yeah, it gets to the point where it's like we're probably going to win. And then it's the next year.
Like you say that like you were not confident that you were going to win.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, 4 feels like a lot. It feels like a lot, but we were taking Madison very seriously, and I was not on that road trip where we lost by 6, but by all accounts, it was horrible.
So it wasn't that close.
Yeah, that was the vibe I got from everybody who came back.
I would teach Raleigh go through that hammer to Aaron Watson, but if I had a hammer, I'd still throw it like Mark Bennett. I would not throw it like Tyler either.
You can hear Matt Weiss in the background there. He does a great job calling the games on Thunderbird streams now. He's really good. He's like a high school civics teacher.
He is, I think, my favorite local announcer for sure. He's super meticulous. Like, he'll come talk to me for a half hour before the game and ask really good, detailed questions about every player.
Yeah, he takes prep pretty seriously.
What was it like playing for Hogan? Another guy I feel like who takes prep pretty seriously.
Yeah, I mean, I love Hogan, and I liked his coaching style, and I think that I learned a lot from him, and I hope that I was able to teach him something, if anything at all. But yeah, he does. Like, we hadn't done that much video scout. I personally had never done that much video scouting before in my life. But you need practice with that to A, have the discipline to watch it, and then B, to like know what to look for. And that's something that Hogan really put in time outside of practice to to find tendencies and see what might work. And then honestly, it always felt like, man, I wish we had an extra 2 hours of practice to kind of hammer some of these things down, especially when we're preparing for a team like Madison or a team like Indy that's really good at the nuance and the rule set of the AUDL. Also, Hogan,
I forgot.
This whole year is like the best dressed. You can see him wearing he's always wearing Nantucket Reds and had like a green mohawk most of the year, which was good for the game.
The green mohawk. Yeah. So Pat's lefty flick, Blady to the corner throw, he throws 5 times this game. We were so frustrated by that. That was the main thing I remember. That was KPS on the mark previously. Ooh. That was an amazing catch, by the way. But I remember KPS being super frustrated. We had KPS on Earls, and he just couldn't figure out how to stop that, the flick huck, the lefty flick huck. It was, and KPS was still a kid at this point, so. But he just over and over again, he approaches too flat and just lets him throw it, and I think everyone was frustrated.
You really got to get over there. Yeah.
He was, I think one of the hardest throwers to cover because he's long and his release points were low and quick. He got his flick off so fast.
Pat was a pretty good sidearm baseball pitcher, for a while, and then I think he had to stop playing in high school because he ran into some elbow stuff. But by that time, he was already in the the Thorn cult of throwing every day after school with Alex Max and Henry and Karen Thorn. He was one of the first non-family members to be indoctrinated in that, and that's and you can kind of see that sidearm release, and that's how he threw that 10 o'clock kind of release point.
Look at this, the wave.
Yeah, Bill Holman.
That's not Matt Weiss.
No, that's
No, they
Old
had two
Woman. He's the
people.
man.
Yeah. They had kind of a
hype
hype
guy.
person and then, yeah.
Yeah, that guy goes to your hairstylist.
So
Some people
Adam
definitely
corrected me.
Go
Go ahead.
ahead, Tim.
I was going to say, Adam did just chat with me to say that he did choose much of the time to show the ground angles just because he thought it'd be interesting to try something different. Sounds like feedback from the group here, at least, is that hasn't been great as far as the view goes. Adam is the guy who cuts a lot of these videos.
Oh, nice.
Oh, wow.
Who caught that, Tim?
Brian Hart. Brian Hart always managed to now Adam's going off about somebody else. Brian Hart always managed to come down with discs for his size. I mean, he's not a particularly big guy. Probably 5'10", 5'9", and just amazing ability to come down with stuff in traffic.
That was Steve Mogilski, the Polish Hill Strangler, Battleship Mogilski in Hot Pursuit on that play. Couldn't quite get there, but also Steve was a young man when this happened. Steve is like a beast now.
Yeah.
A beast or obese?
A beast.
A beast. He's gotten good, yeah. He's had a slow maturation, though.
Steve?
Gosh, you guys are killing us. Yeah, but he just gets a little better every year.
He did his ACL in December of 17. So that definitely affected him. But yeah, he's very good. Also one of Edinburgh's finest.
I hear somebody yelling at you, Tad, to do something, it sounds like.
Good looking grass.
Maybe I'm out there. Maybe I'm out there.
Maybe it was because did you throw the pole offside?
No, man. I don't think I registered a pole this whole season, which is for the best. I played one game for the Rochester Dragons in 12 or 13. I drove to DC, super hungover, played in a double overtime thriller against the Breeze, and then was never compensated for gas or for the game or anything like that, which was a fun and good first AUDL experience.
Rochester Dragons.
Yeah, it was cool. It was cool.
If you send me a receipt, do you still have receipts? I'll pay. I can reimburse you.
Yeah, I'll hit you up. Is that
No
cool?
way, yeah. Yeah.
Okay. I've got PayPal.
Dad strikes me as someone who has a well-organized catalog of all his receipts through the years.
Yeah, I'm sure he does.
I've been doing a lot of landscaping jobs. What, do I have a Rochester? No, I wore an XL Greg Wakeman jersey with duct tape on the back.
Greg Wakeman. Oh,
Remember
man,
Greg
I forgot
Wakeman?
about him. Yeah, he was good, right?
Fredonia?
Wasn't he?
Yeah, Fredonia. It was good. I'll
Kind
tell
of
you,
a
I was
bigger
swimming
guy.
in that. He was a big dude.
Greg Wakeman, yeah.
At
Does he
All-Star
still
Weekend.
play?
I don't know, Tim. At All-Star Weekend last year, Ben Cass, I think, was telling me a story. I mean, he was in 2012. He was a sophomore at UMass, and either Rhode Island or Connecticut needed some extra bodies, so he went and played an AUDL game at somebody else. That was the Wild West of the AUDL back then.
Dude, the Columbus
Nobody knew
Crane
who
story.
he was.
Yeah, no, I mean, he was a sophomore in college.
Tim, please verify this Columbus Crane story. The guy who owned the Columbus Cranes knew nothing about Ultimate, took out a $5,000 business loan, and then played or had them play 5 games and then folded the team. Is that correct?
I can confirm that is roughly
It's
the
about
correct
right.
story. About right,
Okay.
yeah. It might have even been worse than that in some way. I'm not sure, but yeah, there was that first year. It was really interesting group of owners for sure.
And my buddy Tim was
But
like, go ahead.
I will say I would love to have a Columbus Cranes jersey, like for my mini Hall of Fame. Like that would be the crowning. So if anybody on the stream has a Columbus Cranes jersey, you can hit me up.
They were sick, man.
Probably hit me for $100, maybe.
They were sick. Keith Rayner from Multiworld has one, and it is. I mean, it was a cool logo. It was a cool design. Maybe that like $4,000 of the $5,000 went to the graphic designer.
No, it's sort of a fun jersey. I mean, I would love to be able to have like some of those year one jerseys because I mean, they made 30 of them ever, and then they're gone. Most of them. Rampage, Constitution, Cranes.
The dude that took out the $5,000 business loan to make the Columbus Cranes, right now he's using like one of those 30 Cranes jerseys to like level a wobbly table in his living room. Like that's his lasting takeaway from incurring $5,000 in debt.
That's got to lay out there, right? Who was that? Pat?
Oh, this is.
I don't remember ever watching a Radicals game with this many hooks.
I must be wrong about the number of. Wow, that was a nice. Was that you, Tad?
Yeah, I got.
You better rewind that.
Action.
Go back. That was a sky hook push pass.
Yeah, and so Brennenborg, my boy, right here. He cuts for it.
Nice,
beautiful.
That's what you want there.
That's what I want there every time. I've also like not developed a lefty backhand because it was like not cool.
Step on you.
Yeah, dirty Radicals jumping all over you.
A cheap and cowardly play. Side to side, move it side to side.
Yeah, you're definitely using the rails here.
Well, it's all about to come crashing to an end.
No, you score here. I think you go up 6 probably.
No, I don't think we do.
This might be where I started to give the speech of like, hey, we need to get this game closer. Yeah, you're right. At some point, I think you do.
Dad, you should have taken charge and gone every other down the field.
Yeah, I mean, so the thing about the double teaming there, and that's like your O-line running the double teams, is it's great for me because I don't want to cut. So like it does give the opportunity to just stand and like be thrown open, or like ask the dude that you're supposed to be dump cutting for to like just put something out there to break the marks. Yikes. That's flying a little too close to the sun.
You know who hasn't done much of this game is KPS. As a 23-year-old.
I was almost going to ask because, I haven't noticed him at all.
He's out here. He was covering Earls a couple times, and Earls got that lefty flick hook off on him, a break side hook, and I think he got in his own head. This is back when he was a great player from the get-go, but he certainly got frustrated easily and let himself get taken out of games. And I remember this game in particular. He was super frustrated by his inability to contain Earls in any way at all.
Where did he go? He went to one of the small Wisconsin schools, or the
Racine? Is that Racine? I believe.
Okay.
I think he's from Racine, but he went to Parkside, right?
Parkside, yeah. Parkside is the school. That may be in Racine. I don't think anybody knows what Parkside is. Maybe look on a map. I don't actually know where it resides in Wisconsin.
Let me just check on the map. It's not there.
Watson's got 6 goals.
So we're down 5, yeah. But it's funny, what I remember of this game is how much energy there was in the last couple points, because I think both teams knew that we had beaten them by 6, and if they could beat us by 6, then I don't remember what the next tiebreaker is, but I think both teams were confident this year that we would both go 13-1, even though Tad reminded me that they lost the week after this and ended up going 12-2 to Chicago. Was that right, Tad? You lost to Chicago.
Yeah, it was a game of lose.
That was not.
Wait, was that the game where your bus broke down, or no? Where you got stuck on the highway? Do you remember that game where the? Yeah,
I remember not
started
being on that road trip. I was not on that road trip.
3 hours late or something. Were you doing that game, Evan, when Pittsburgh's bus got stuck on the highway?
Yep.
Was it that game? Was it the Pittsburgh Chicago?
It was Pittsburgh at Chicago on Saturday night in Naperville, I want to say.
Yep. Yeah.
And yeah, we got word like mid-afternoon that like either the bus broke down or they were stuck in terrible traffic or whatever it was. I mean, the game was probably supposed to start at 7. We probably started at like 8:45. Maybe.
I think it was later. I think it was later than that. I was on the phone with people, I remember, and I think it might have been like 9:30 or something crazy. It was one of the only, I think it's probably the only time that a game of the week got delayed. Is that accurate?
And I think I don't think we mentioned the bus breaking down, or I think we just said it was a weather delay.
Oh, because it was actually raining too, right, or something?
Andrew Gardner says there was a death on the highway. We were stopped. There were 2.5 hours late.
Yep. Oh, I nailed it. 9:30 probably, right?
Maybe it was like a 6 o'clock game and it actually started.
Oh, Tad. Wait, you got to rewind that. Luke, we need to see that again. This was... Wait. It's the next day, right? I think we missed it. Luke, can
Here
you
it
go
comes.
back?
Hit the dump here and then.
Tad, you enjoy watching yourself?
Look at this.
The cool stuff. Yeah.
Wow. That was a...
Ninja.
Nobody makes those fakes. Nobody.
Yeah,
I mean,
there's
literally,
probably a
I
good
know nobody makes that fake. Oh, that was nice. Did you see that? You like kind of pushed Dave out of there after you caught it? I like it.
That dude was huge.
These
Who was
games were
that guy?
testier too. Dave Wiseman. Don't you feel like back then the games had a little more I don't know. It wasn't like negative energy, but it was certainly a little more physical maybe. I think like the refs over time have tightened the game up even more. Like I don't think this game was like dirty or anything, but I definitely think it was more physical than like the current iteration of games are.
Just your standard Radicals goonery on display out there. No, I think, yeah, I mean, I'm trying to think of some 2017 games. I felt like anybody who was a first-year player in the league, like one of your first fact-finding missions was like, how far can I push it? Like, what are the boundaries when I'm guarding the dump or in the middle of the stack? I probably can't get seen. Like, that was a thing.
Definitely. I mean, I remember in like 2013, 2014, there was always something that someone would show me where, I would catch it on film where like someone's grabbing a jersey or something. And I think that there's this like idea that happens all the time now. And I mean, everything is on film, right? And like, you don't really see that stuff happen at all anymore. But yeah, even this year, I was certainly like towards the end of it where, yeah, people started playing, I think, just cleaner overall.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's also a reflection of the game as a whole. Like, not just the AUDL, but people are playing a more, I almost said finesse game, which is really not the right way to say that, but it's a less physical game and with certainly a lot less intentional fouling than when I came up.
Do you think that, and this is very theoretical question, but do you think that the USAU basically using spirit of the game as sort of the antithesis of what we were doing actually created some of that? Like when I was playing, I feel like spirit of the game didn't have the same, it didn't have the same level of marketing around it, I will say. And I feel like USAU has really highlighted that as a differentiator between the AUDL, and it potentially has led to like people valuing that even more. Does that ring true to anybody, or is that me postulating something? Oh wow,
That was a sick catch. I remember that.
that was Brian
Gold
Hart
one
again.
almost died.
You should probably rewind that, Luke,
Yeah.
because that was sort of insane. Brian Hart he always managed to come down with it.
Is he still playing?
Ulabon, I remember him. No, Brian retired in 2008. He retired in 2017, end of 2017. I tried to get him back though. He's not that old, but he's a dentist, and his hands mean everything to him. And so, if he injures himself, his livelihood is gone. So, it's kind of like being a surgeon, but you can't really, get out and do the things you want to do. Maybe. Ooh.
A lot of overhead in dentistry. That's what they always say, a lot of overhead. Remember that.
So this is where we're starting to see a little of that energy of like, we need to keep this game close. Like a lot of times at the end of these games, like everybody just kind of lackadaisical, but like I remember everybody working super hard at the end of this game. Like us taking a timeout here. This is probably to talk about how important it is that we score a goal here. This might actually be towards the end of the game, right? I don't remember what the final was, but like this point might be it, because you guys would go up 6, or we'd go down, or we'd go down 4. So like if you would have scored on this point,
There's a lot of points. There's a lot of points left.
A lot of points left. Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway, I think we're getting to the point where we recognize how important each of these points is. That was what that timeout was. It was like, we really need to get this in. It could be that Pittsburgh didn't really know either exactly, but we were super cognizant of it. That was a great fake, though, Brian. I know you hate that offense of it, but that's pretty to me.
I mean, I don't hate it. It's just not exhilarating.
He hates smooth, slow, efficient offenses.
I love good offense.
Just not our good offense.
Pat Trywise is one of my favorite players to watch. Always has been. I don't like the Radicals anymore because he's not on the team.
There's that KPS Catterose matchup. Tyler D.
Tyler did close. That was a beautiful throw by Earl.
Earl's, what did Tad you say? He had 9 assists this game?
9 assists this game.
Please contact us through our website, pghthunderbirds.com, or bother one of our GMs, either GM Andrew.
We had some huge statistical games.
I think he had some 11s, if I'm remembering correctly. Like, not this year, but I think the year after, or in 17, he had put up 11.
He had 3 9-assist games in 2015. He had an 11-assist game against Indy in 2016. And then he had a 10-assist game in Seattle. A 26-24 loss on May 5th, 2017. That was a fun game.
That was Hart. to camp for the score. And it's
Brian Hart had a good game here too. I didn't look at. I'm gonna check his stats out quick. This game.
Yeah, he had 3 goals. 3 goals, 2 assists. Second on the team in completions with 33.
Sorry, the leg's getting. I'm gonna jump in and out.
Head referee Kramer calls a strip on the play. It's Thunderbirds just 10 yards forward. There's a nice catch by Earls. It was stripped from his hand. Barely got hold of that one. With 4.2 left on the clock and time getting shorter. Here comes the defensive team. 24-19 Thunderbirds.
What is
Tim,
the
at
final
this
score
point,
this
do you
one?
have you 26-20 or 26-22, 26-22. At this point, you're not harboring any ambitions to come back and win the game, are you?
Yeah, I mean, we all. I always harbor those things, but I mean, honestly, right? We're trying to make sure that we keep it within 5. I mean, I don't really give up usually, so I'm obviously like trying to win still, but I definitely have people focused in on the positive of like the importance of keeping the game close.
Like the last game, me and James actually.
Because sometimes if it's a blowout, it's hard to keep your energy up. So like, we had a reason to keep playing, which I think was really good for us in this game. Is that Shep? Yeah.
The midshipman of Navy. And that's 6
So
points.
that's 6. Yeah.
That's 6 points. And there's that fancy, highfalutin bus you rode into town on and disparaged the great hills that make Western Pennsylvania the gem of Appalachia, which it is.
You know, I didn't know that about Pittsburgh until I started going there for AUDL. How beautiful it is! Like, it's really nice. I mean, the river and the hills and all that. Like, I thought of Pittsburgh as being flat before I went there. I thought it was like Cleveland or Cincinnati or something, but turns out it's actually
3 rivers.
fairly nice.
3 rivers.
3 of them.
3 rivers.
And there's actually
Sorry.
a 4th one underground, maybe, people say, allegedly. Yeah, it's cool. The
That was
bus
a
thing
huge
I was
play.
Yeah, that's a good one to get. God. The bus thing I was going to mention earlier is later this year, Chicago took a bus that was like somewhere between a school bus and a coach bus, but it had no bathroom. And we took those gentlemen out to a local watering hole after the game. One of my personal favorites, Lot 17 in Bloomfield. Check it out if you're around. Evan, I think you've thrown back a couple 22s at Lot 17. And
Is that the real
the owner
place
of
you
Lot...
took me to?
No, that's a different bar. This is a nice place. People would actually be impressed with your list of sketchy bars that you've been to in Pittsburgh. Like you have like some built-in street cred if you don't want to live here long term. But the owner of Lot 17 overheard the Chicago guys talking about like, man, I'm gonna have to piss so bad, and like we don't have anything on the bus. And the owner of Lot 17 was like, hey fellas, it's cool, I got you. Here, take these 2 5-gallon buckets with you. Just gave him 2 5-gallon buckets for the ride home.
Nice.
That's hospitality,
Hashtag
gentlemen.
Look at us running a vertical
So the
stack.
interesting thing is, yeah, Tim, you guys need to score here.
Well, we must score a couple.
Wow. Pittsburgh
this-
has
this
the
point
disc
is
with a chance to go
particularly-
up by 7.
Yeah.
Dad, why
And
did
look who's
you
got
blow
it.
this here?
Dad, what happens?
I don't know. Why did I blow this?
Because
They call a
maybe
timeout.
called
They
timeout
pulled out of the
the
game.
O-line?
Oh, come on,
Hogan.
Hogan, where is the
Yeah, you had both guys.
when your backfield is Chris Brennenborg and old, way over the hill Tad Wissel, even at 29, we're talking about two guys that worked on a mulch truck together for 8 years, 8 summers on the same mulch truck. Something you can't teach, can't coach it.
I'm gonna guess Pat turns this over.
Tad, there was a question before. What happened to Chris Brennenborg?
You know what?
Oh,
Without violating
wow.
HIPAA too much, I think Brennenborg's back was pretty jacked up. I talked to him the other day on the phone. I needed to consult him about a soil and seeding job I had out in McDonald, PA. And yeah, man, so he kind of quietly retired because he was, if your back is messed up, ultimate is a terrible, terrible thing to participate in. So we subbed out D2 there to put the O-line in.
For Madison, it's 26-21 with 33 seconds remaining in the game.
So yeah, 30
I think we're in
seconds
the
left. You
final
guys have to
minute.
score here. Yeah, so basically they have to score, and they could basically tie us for the season here. I think they know it, but it's unclear to me if they know that they need to score here.
I don't recall that necessarily.
We definitely
maybe
knew.
a
We were totally like aware. There's KPS.
KPS
we were very,
with short hair doesn't.
That was it. You can see how excited we are. Even though it
Really don't want to
obviously we
drive
lost the
Pittsburgh
game.
again.
Right. I mean, we did not want to play this game again in the playoffs for sure. I mean, during that run, the 6-year run that we had, I mean, the key that for us was to be so far ahead in the division that we knew we wouldn't have to leave Breeze. Because, I mean, playing anywhere on the road is hard. As this game shows, I mean, we got worked in this game. There's David with his red.
Hogan fired up.
Yeah, Tad, you got a little fired up there. Luke, can we
That's
scroll
a little
back
fired
and
up.
see Tad's celebration?
There's a Tad
Tad
head thing
Fathead.
there in the crowd, too. Yeah, that looked good.
So, Tad, I don't know if we can do slow-mo here, Luke. But, Tad, can you break down kind of the need for us and the enthusiasm that we're going to see here? Number 71, folks. Coming into your screen right about now.
There he is.
Nice still frame.
It's a lot like when Pitt in 2007 beat WVU, who was headed to the national championship, and we got to play spoiler in Morgantown. That's kind of what I was channeling in that moment. And then there's my buddy Nico, Tad Fathead. Yeah, it was a whiteboard, so you could actually change what I was saying throughout.
Oh,
and there's
wow.
some like
That's great.
ones that are not super cool. I've seen pictures of.
How many autographs you signed after this game, Tad?
I ruined some little kids' discs, for sure, right after this game. Maybe 2. Yeah. A couple little
You
kids.
had to
at their
sign
Frisbee.
something creative on Frisbee, I imagine.
There's a lot of pressure if you ever do that. So I think I didn't even try to write my last name, which is just a scribble. Like, I'm the dude that goes into I sign everything I just leave it like that. So I just would write Tad 71. So right now, as we're circling the field, I remember being really pumped up, and I kicked one of the AUDL pylons, and hurt my foot pretty severely. I didn't realize how weighted those things were at the bottom, and we had practice the next day or something. It was a dumb thing to do. It was like the Gus Rod headbutt.
Yeah, not ideal.
No.
Couple questions to catch up on. Tim, if you could pick one former Radical to come back and play for the Radicals, who would you choose?
Oh,
Pressure.
I mean, it's got to be Pat. It's got to be Pat. But I mean, Brian Hart, Peter, Scott. There's a big list. But Pat was probably one of my closest confidants over the years. He was a great player to have on the team, and I just really enjoyed being around him.
No mention of Jay.
And he's a great player.
No mention.
Well,
of those guys.
I mean,
bums, all of them.
Jay is incredible. Abe was a really great teammate, and I would love to have him back. But I mean, they didn't have the same history. Jay went through a couple rough ones with us, and there was that Seattle game you might remember. I guess they were both part of, but I think the continuum of losing 5 straight years in the championship weekend, I think, and then having finally winning. I think everybody who was involved in that are the first people I would think about. So Peter, Pat, Scott, Ben, Dave, are definitely the ones that I remember the most for sure.
One more question, Tim. What's it going to feel like not playing Pittsburgh anymore with a realignment?
I'm going to miss it. I mean, the Pittsburgh road trip was one of the most fun. I mean, we would definitely go and, we'd make the trip, we'd go out, and that was kind of our chance to really let loose a little bit, because oftentimes we'd spend the night somewhere, so we weren't going all the way back. Whereas Chicago, people wanted to get back, but if you have a hotel room, then you're more apt to kind of go out. So we have some really good memories of, I don't remember, there's a bar you guys told us to go to that had all these beer bottles and coolers that was pre that being cool in Madison, at least. So 2014, 2015, you'd walk in and it was just all beer everywhere on the walls, and you could pick what you wanted and bring it up. You don't know what I'm talking about?
I don't know. That's not my kind of spot, but I'm trying to think of what it possibly could have been.
Yeah, I mean, it was expensive.
Right,
we would
Tad.
drop regularly $1,500 or so on beer.
Tad, real quick, your 5 favorite Pittsburgh bars. Go.
Okay, Slapshots in Dormont is up. I can't do these in order. Slapshots in Dormont, Lot 17 in Bloomfield, Dino's in Latrobe. That will have to count because it's Western PA. We can't just limit ourselves to the city. Cole's Pub in Imperial, and boy, I have this one flex one I get to use. I'm going to say Chupka's 2 in the South Side, which was a sponsor of the Thunderbirds, but it's a great spot in a great people-watching part of the city. Yeah, Chupka's 2. A lot of room. You can play cornhole there.
Nice.
I guess out of equal time. Tim, your 5 favorite bars in Madison.
Oh, well, I mean, Brass Ring, Rabinia, Working Draft. Those are the easy ones. Village Bar. Did you ever go to the Village Bar with me, Evan? One right by my house. That it's like a house converted into a bar, basically. Did we ever go there?
That's not. I've been to the restaurant with you near your house a couple times, but I don't know if we went to a bar.
No, that's not that one. No, that's different. I guess Old Fashioned. We went there, right, Evan? With
I love Old Fashioned. My favorite spot.
Yeah. I mean, the Village is on that list. Yeah. No, that place is great. Village is kind of the one that Tad I would bring to. It's a house that was converted many years into a bar. They have
Nice.
2 foods there, a burger and a cheese plate, and the cheese plate is just square pieces of cheese in a bag, and they just pour it onto the plate for you and give you some crackers. Not Ritz crackers, mind you, saltine crackers, I think. So like those are your options. And they once in a while will make you a grilled cheese depending on who works there. Like sometimes I'll go in with my daughters and we'll be like, can we get a grilled cheese? And the person working will look over to the grill and be like, no, because like the guy who runs the grill will only do a hamburger. You can't put a piece of cheese on a bun and do it. So you'd probably love that place. I'm thinking it'd be up your alley.
Yeah, I like that. Why not?
There's been some chatter about the Tad bobblehead. What's the story with the Tad bobblehead? Are those still in production?
They're not in production, but I think they're still in circulation. Yeah, I think those were made in 2016. Really a cool thing. I'm so honored by the Thunderbirds to have been to have a bobblehead. It's like I always wanted to tweet it at Bo and be like, "It's just you and me, Bo. We're the only dudes."
I have a Bo bobblehead. Do you want me to go get it?
It's lonely at the top. It's just me and Bo. So
wait, is there really a Tad bobblehead?
yeah.
No way.
Yeah.
Is there?
I'm doing the
I
yes.
have the Bo one.
Yeah. I'm doing the
No
yes.
way. Evan, is he messing with me?
You have it in your house.
I can go get the
I
Bo
have
one if you go get the Tad one. All right, we'll
Okay.
go. I'll get the Bo.
All righty. This is very exciting, especially for the 159 of you that are still tuned in. The bobblehead reveals. I had a Bo bobblehead, but I gave it away to someone who loved bobbleheads. I'm in my basement. I got a bunch of baseball bobbleheads. And actually, Tad, you'll appreciate this. I have a James Conner Pitt Panthers bobblehead on my mantle over there that I got covering a Pitt football game.
What's your most treasured bobblehead, would you say? Something you had since you were a kid, or like something you always wanted and finally got when you were in college?
I never was I'm looking at all my bobbleheads right now, and it's never been a big deal, but I got I work for the Red Sox organization, so I got a David Ortiz, Pedro Martinez, Carlton Fisk, Mookie Betts, one or two others over there. I got my Carolina League championship ring over there. Okay, the reveal.
Wow, I need that.
Yeah. You can get one on the Thunderbirds website.
Where?
I think maybe
Hold them up for a few more seconds, please, on your camera.
Can I really get one?
I think maybe. Look how classy
Tim,
Bose
your
is.
camera. Tim, the other camera. Thank you. There you go.
Why is Bo wearing a vest and jeans? Why?
That is probably a long story that only Andrew Zill could probably tell us about. I don't know
Was he
why
like trying to be a
put him in uniform.
professional person? Yeah, that makes no sense.
They didn't have uniforms yet. I think when they did the photo shoot, like they signed him before the season started, and I think they didn't have Spiders uniforms yet, so they actually like had him wear street clothes because I think they had to do the modeling like months and months before the season.
Does he wear vests out though? Like, is he like a vest at a bar
Have you ever
guy?
seen
Like,
those?
that's a legitimate question. Yeah, I've seen him, but
Yes, probably with like kind of the he'd have the vest
Taco
maybe
With
without the
nothing
shirt.
underneath. Just the vest.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure. Right?
Hey, does the Village Bar have a little shredded cheese and a couple tortilla shells for this taco meat, Tim? Some
Probably.
shredded lettuce? Okay.
Andrew Gardner says that, Tim, you once asked for a Tad bobblehead for free, and he said $30, and apparently you guys couldn't come to some sort of an arrangement.
Cool, Tim.
Well, at least I know we're negotiating still. So I'd pay 25.
True story. I asked Zill for a Bo bobblehead, to like put on social media and stuff, and he made me pay for it, and I did, and then I gave it away. So,
did you give it to me? Is that how I got mine? I don't remember.
I gave my bobblehead the Bo bobblehead to the assistant general manager, who's now the general manager of the Salem Red Sox, because he had like 100. He had like 100 bobbleheads in his office, but now the Bo one, and I kid you not, it was like the highest quality bobblehead he had, nicer than any of the minor league baseball.
Really,
he had accumulated.
It's super nice. It's like clay. It's not like plastic. I guess yours is probably, they're all kind of clayey, but it's a very nice bobblehead. It was, from what I remember, it was really expensive and it did not pan out quite the way Zil hoped.
Really quick, I don't know how much time we have, but Evan, I wanted to bring this up because it didn't happen during the broadcast. Yesterday in our little log-on session, you said you were going to ask Tim about Survivor, and I've been thinking about that for the last 24 hours.
Yeah, well, little background. I am a huge fan of Survivor. I've often said I'm ashamed of how excited I get to watch. Last night was a fantastic episode that if you guys haven't seen yet, I hope you DVR'd it. But I remember a few weeks ago, Dylan Freechild was tweeting about Survivor, and you tweeted back at him saying you were a finalist back for the Australian season 2, which was like 20 years ago. So I need that story of how close you were to meeting Jeff Probst and winning $1 million on Survivor.
Yeah, so back then you had to do a videotape. So I sent a videotape in, and I got a phone interview, and we went through the phone interview, and then I got a call back for an in-person interview. And I think for that they were, they have very few of those. They were, in Green Bay. So they took like 2 people from Wisconsin, but there's probably like 20 people or whatever that they did. And basically they sat you down for a couple hours and put you on camera and just, basically asked you a bunch of weird questions. And I think that I failed at that because I wasn't prepared for like the types of questions that they were going to ask, which were, it was like, would you ever, do something in order to win a game that were more, I think it was a little more in-depth questions than I was ready for. A lot of around like personal relationships. So you can kind of maybe follow through with some of it, but like, I didn't do really well on the final interview, I don't think, but I was super jacked for it because Survivor season 1 for me was like the best thing in the world. Like I always wanted to be stuck somewhere, like on a desert island, and like so like I did a lot of work into my tape, and my like I think you had to write like a little letter or something like that, but it was cool. I mean, they had like 50 or 60,000 people apply, I remember, and getting down to the final. I mean, I kind of was really annoying because I kind of like thought I had no chance. And then when I got the final interview call, then I was like, oh, come on, I'm in now, right? Because now we're down to like 30 people or something. And then I didn't make it, so it was like super frustrating.
Do you know why?
Did you watch that?
Go ahead, Evan. Go ahead.
Did you watch that season that you were rejected
Oh,
from?
yeah. Because if you remember, Susan was from Wisconsin. Sure. And then there was a guy who didn't last very long, but I think he was like a kind of a right-wing Christian kind of young fellow, maybe, that was also from Wisconsin. So they picked 2 people from my little group. And Susan, I think, was sort of weird, but ended up making it to like the final 4, maybe. I don't know. It sounds like you might have just watched it recently. Is that true?
I watched season 1 several years ago, in addition to 20 years ago. But
yeah, I mean, I watched it 20 years ago.
I interviewed Ethan, the winner of season 2, at a Wake, North Carolina soccer game that his grassroots soccer organization, the shirt that he's wearing on the current season of Survivor, he was there and he came up to the booth and I spent like 35 minutes interviewing him, and it was the highlight of the soccer season because we didn't talk soccer. We just talked about Survivor and all the guys that he had worked around with. The chat, by the way, has determined a couple things. Next week's Thursday Night Rewind will be the reveal of the Send the Fields Burn folder.
Oh my God!
And then 2 weeks from now will just be a very detailed watch of Tim's Survivor audition tape. So I think we can pencil those 2 things in.
There was only one version of it, and I sent it off because it was a videotape. I mean, you know what I mean? It was like, you didn't like make copies, so we'd have to talk to Jeff Proust directly if we wanted to get that tape. Probably, I'm sure it's stored for all these years.
The real reason why Tim was not able to participate in season 2 is because he looked too much like season 1 winner Richard Hatch. Right?
A little bit.
I didn't back then though, but this was 20 years ago, so I didn't have any of this gray.
I don't know, man. They could have seen it coming.
Tim, I feel like I've seen young pictures of you, and you had much bigger hair. Is that accurate?
Oh yeah, then I had hair like Tad, sort of. And 20 years ago, I definitely had, and potentially I had some blonde highlights in it.
Wow.
Sick.
You won't be able to find those pictures anywhere, though. I guarantee it. There are none. There are no pictures like that anywhere. This is, pre-Facebook, so all that, so you won't be able to find anything.
Yeah, I mean, in the year your first year playing Ultimate was right around then, right?
Yeah, I mean, it would have been. I think in fact, it was, it was literally probably that year. It was about 20 years ago. Yeah, it was 26, something like that.
So
25.
You got rejected from Survivor and turned to Ultimate to ease your pain.
I did. And never left, yeah. And I've just kept doubling down every time. What else can we do? I have some new stuff I'm doubling down with Ultimate that I can't talk about, but it's doubling down even more.
Okay, like
that was a teaser. That was a teaser for later.
Come on, man. Come on. You're in a safe. You're in the nest with the trust.
Tim, tell us a story about the most intense moment of a poker tournament you were ever involved in.
Oh,
how much money was on the line?
So I was definitely at the Venetian, and it was probably a $500 buy-in tournament, and it was final table. So like I think first prize was probably like 50,000 or something, and I was chip leader. And there was a guy who was just driving me nuts to my left. Like he just kept talking to me the whole time, and I had pocket aces, and I remember I bet and he raised me, and I shoved all in on him, and I was so happy. And he insta-called with like pocket nines or something, and it was just like, I beat this guy, and like I'm gonna have the chip lead in this huge tournament, and he spiked a 9 right away, and I was so mad. And I was still in the game after that, but then he got even more annoying because like he was to my left and he had all my chips, and he just and so like that, I think that was definitely one of my like least favorite poker memories. Is just like, because you don't often get to like the final table in a big tournament like that, and like you're cruising, and then you get this hand that like it's aces versus nines is like 82-18. So like 82% you're going to win. So win a big chunk of the time, and that would have basically given me the tournament. And so that was probably the one I remember the most, because it was a combination of bad luck and somebody who you didn't want to lose to. Because like these tournaments go for like 8 or 9 hours, and he'd been on my left for like 4 hours or something, and I had to listen to him, talk and talk and talk the whole time.
Tad, take this question however you want, but are you a gambler?
Yeah. I belong to a social club, so I like to put my $2 in for the $2 drawing every week, which happens on Tuesday nights. So I do that, and I used to play a little poker myself. I had a bit of a chippy, and before, like pre-casino in Pittsburgh, there were a lot of like weird places to play. Like there was a building in Ambridge with soaped out windows I used to go to once in a while. There were a couple places in Beaver County, but I get consumed by these things, unfortunately. And for a while, it was Ultimate. So I stopped playing poker and then invested all of that energy into Ultimate. So I'm just kind of now waiting for the next thing to come around.
I actually quit playing poker for the AUDL. Like that was when I quit. It was when I started. Yeah, that was the year I quit. Was when the basically the Radicals started up.
Because of the mental energy you need to commit to doing poker, or because of like the time and the physical
time?
Okay.
Well, yeah, time and like competitiveness. Like it is an outlet for being competitive, and like Radicals became that outlet for sure. But like it's just a time thing too. Like trying to be a semi-professional poker player is a lot like trying to be a semi-professional ultimate player. You know, like it's a ton of time, ton of energy. So you couldn't really do both, I don't think, and not have a life, like a wife and children, which I have now.
Yeah, that changes things.
Yep.
Tad, we talked last night about your Twitter handle, and I mean, there's an origin story to Dick and Sauce.
Yeah, so on that spring break trip in 2014 to High Tide, I went with my buddy Dick, and I was 27. And Dick was, I want to say, like 24. We were both out of school, like very out of school. And I was like, hey, man, this is going to be super exciting. I made a Twitter account. Like I hadn't had one before then. And I was like, and I named it Dick and Sauce. And he's like, sweet. I'm like, we'll just tweet like the cool stuff we do when we're down there. And which we did. Very little of it was cool. And then when we got back, Dick already had his own Twitter account, so I was like, Dick, can I just I'll just have this one? And he was, yeah, so it's stuck, and I should change it because there's a lot of, it conjures up some weird images, and I know, Evan, you said you felt uncomfortable including that in any tweets from your account, which I get it.
I think I've done it once or twice, but I definitely have been reluctant, because
I'm sure I could get at Tad Wissel. I could just get that, but what's the
or
probably
Tad
not
Wissel
now.
12 maybe? Yeah, maybe Tad Wissel 12 you'd be able to get, or 13. Twitter
71.
will let you know.
71.
Yeah,
71.
Interesting. I mean, this is the first ever broadcast I've done with two former players, one of which were number 71 and the other number 73. Two uncommon numbers.
How come? Why 73?
Year I was born.
Tim wore 73 because he was born in 73.
Oh, damn, dude.
You were born in 71, right?
I was born in 71. Yeah, this whole time you were like, Tad looks pretty rough for 34, but actually I'm much older.
But you look good then.
By the way,
for a 48-year-old.
I don't know if you guys would believe this, but you guys played the exact same number of regular season AUDL games. And
who had a better plus
scored
minus?
the exact same number of AUDL goals.
Ooh.
Like 4.
Any guesses how many? How many games do you each
Hello.
play regular season?
Oof. 15.
I'll say 17.
You both underestimated it. Tim, according to the website,
21?
you played 16 games in 2013.
Yeah, I played every game. That's true. Yeah, I guess I played every game.
So
in year one.
your guess of 15 was pretty poor. You each played 24 games in your career.
Nice.
And how many goals did you each score? It's the same number.
I'll say no, it's not.
7? 7?
That sounds right.
I was a D-line handler, right? 12? 12?
8?
10. 8?
11 is the number.
11. Who had the better plus minus career?
Tad.
Oh,
Tad had 34 assists. Tim, you
Wow.
just had 13. But Tim, you had more blocks than Tad, 10-7. But I mean, like Tad, pretty impressive completion percentage and number of completions. I mean, 465 completions in your career at just about 96% clip. Tim, you had 131 completions, all but 13 of them were in 2013. And overall, 93% is your career completion percentage.
That's not bad for.
There's still time.
You know,
there's still time for
Tad,
both
I
of
was
you to
older
up
than you
those
are
numbers.
now when I played, though. If you look at it, I was
Right.
older than Tad is even now. So you still have lots of runway here to like catch up. I guess you're
do
already
not.
ahead, but
I do not. For the turnover,
because I was
statistic,
40.
that's very impressive.
Tad, have you ever considered
one? I coached high school for a year. I helped coach Pitt women for a year. I don't know, man. I really like to play, so like I like to go to tournaments, and that would be a con. I still want to keep going to tournaments. You know, I don't know what the club future holds for me. I had fun in the Masters division last year, but like, I don't know if I would get enough fulfillment out of coaching as opposed to like if I were going to tournaments and still playing. I really like to play, but maybe someday, man. Maybe, I mean, you know, it'd be a cool way to stay in the game. Yeah. But I mean, Tim,
maybe
effective.
Rochester.
That's awesome.
I mean, I played in the semifinal game. I sat myself in the championship game, and we lost. So,
right.
Yeah.
Right.
Think about it.
Never set yourself.
But I mean,
honestly,
that was the reason that season was so surprising. Like, I mean, we went and played teams, and we had like 3 or 4 Masters players and 4 or 5 guys who'd never played club before. Like, and we were beating everybody that year, which was, I thought, kind of crazy looking back on it. You know, like Jake Spyro, my assistant. Yeah. Like how unexpected that run to the championship was that year. Just given who we had personnel wise. I mean, it was a bunch of guys who'd never played club, like Matt Weber hadn't played club, KPS hadn't played club really. Benji, EA was a co-ed player. Adrian was a football player that we converted to Ultimate. That was his first year playing. And then we had like 3 or 4 Masters players, and then like a core of club guys, maybe 8 actual club guys. And we were just wrecking people. It was super fun.
Tim, we've gotten a lot of questions tonight about will there be a 2020 season? What needs to happen? What's the latest?
Well, I mean, I'd say that there's some subdued optimism that we'll be able to get something in. You know, it just depends on what happens in each of the local markets and how well things are contained. And, you know, I think some good news that we heard recently was that like they tracked a bunch of cases in China, and like almost all of them were contracted indoors, and very few cases seem to be contracted outdoors. So that is helpful. But you know, like it's just hard to know. It's going to matter so much on what the local situation is, and it, you know, is it safe for people to play? I mean, there's some level of risk in everyday life as far as like, you know, it's not going to be gone, but is it like gone enough that people feel comfortable to get on a field and play? I think players will be excited to play. I think in a lot of ways it's going to be the ownership group having to make the tough choices about whether it's safe for them to actually be out there or not.
From my perspective, it's even less about feeling safe on the field and playing, but feeling safe traveling to the field to be able to play. I mean, whether it's a bus ride or a flight, but even a bus ride, you know, that feels like the question to me right now.
Yeah, and we've talked about letting players drive if they prefer, and you know, definitely flexing a little bit out of some of the regulations that we have as far as like having to travel as a team and whatnot, and just thinking of ways in which we can help mitigate some of that stuff. But you know, I think right now it's really a wait and see, and we're still planning. A couple that we announced, I think, just today, that we're looking at both a tournament scenario, and by tournament we mean like single games, but more of a bracket style where, you know, people would still play one game a weekend, but it would be single elimination style bracket. That's sort of like the final step. And then, previous to that, we would still hope we could get a shortened season in. But at this point, we'd be looking for at best a 10-game season. We have pushed championship weekend out a little bit already in our thinking. So no matter what, the season would go later. I mean, the hope would be we could play like July, August, and into September a little bit.
How late into the calendar could we play? I mean, like, there's been talk that college football could be January to April 2021. Like, could the AUDL be October, November, December 2020? Is that, like, on the table?
No. Well, nothing's off the table, but I think given where most of the markets are, that would be pretty difficult. I mean, we're not going to sequester our teams down in Florida or something, buy an island. Sure. At least probably not going to buy an island. I don't know, Tad, you have any thoughts about that? But, if we could be on an island, it would be great. But, I think that the problem we have is that we have a lot of markets that are north, 3 Canadian teams. Then you got Boston, New York, and Minnesota. And so, I mean, I think there's a limit to how far you can get out. But, and we're trying to be cognizant of club and everything else too. So but I think like there's a intermediate step for sure where we could continue the season through the end of August and then have late September, mid-September playoffs or something in championship where we're still avoiding some of the issues, or, you're down to 4 teams at that point. So it's less of an issue really. But yeah, I mean, I think, we're still planning as if we can have a season.
Good deal. That's relatively encouraging. Tad, what's your day-to-day life like? Like, what will you do tomorrow morning?
I'm still employed, which is awesome, and I'm very thankful for that. My heart goes out to folks that are struggling right now. There's not like a ton of stuff to do in my day-to-day with what I normally do in my 9 to 5. So I've started taking some vacation days, and I booked a bunch of landscaping side jobs. So I have been the man of La Mulcha these last few weeks, and yeah, I mean, tomorrow I'm gonna be banging 6-7 yards of mulch at a ritzy house in Fox Chapel. So I am looking forward to that. And like the vacation time stuff, it's like vacation time matters if you're able to take a vacation, but like, like Evan, like you mentioned the travel thing. Like I think travel above all else, like whatever semblance of normalcy we're able to return to in a few weeks or months. I don't think the travel stuff is going to open up anytime soon. So yeah, I'm just and I'm trying to get outside, and I'm trying to not think about it and just rip mulch off a truck right now, man.
Sounds like good exercise.
It's going to get me playing in my 40s like Tim. It's going to get me back in shape. Thunderbirds 2021.
Yeah.
2024? Maybe.
Before I let y'all go, Tad, momentous episode of your podcast coming up next week. Give us a little tease. What can we expect? I mean, I know this is going to be the mega spectacular. Not that every episode is special in itself, but can you take us inside the planning process?
Yeah. Pat Stegemiller, my co-host, he's fantastic, my co-host and dear friend. We exchange hasty, late emails about what we might talk about on the show. That's like what we do for show prep. And some of the ideas that have been flying around have been a little crazy. We have a special project that I don't think will get out in time for the show, but shortly thereafter, it'll certainly be part of our episode 100 rollout. Something we're hoping for, Evan, before I talk about the thing you should definitely tune in for, we want to have your top 5 STF moments as a dedicated listener. We would love to put together something. We can edit it together as an audio montage of your favorites in the field's moments. But over the last couple of years, I've been keeping an email thread a draft email thread to myself about like the worst things I've done on an ultimate field, like the least spirited or the silliest or whatever. And I'm just gonna read through those. That's gonna be part of it. So if you feel like you were ever wronged by me at the Theodore Seuss Memorial Tournament in Buffalo in 2006, or at Ohio State Fall Brawl in 2008, or Arctic Vogue in 2010, this might be one to tune in for.
That made me think of arguably my proudest moment as an ultimate player, which was when I got the Edinburgh team behind me at Hellfish Bonanza in 2006 or 2007 in Harrisonburg, Virginia, JMU.
Man,
that was like my professional ultimate moment.
So we talked about this on Sin the Fields before, but I first remember Evan. So when Evan started calling games, I was like, hey, that's that dude from Wake Forest. And I remember because Edinburgh, we were on the sidelines. We were like on a bye or something, and we were watching Wake Forest play NC State at Easterns in 2007. And it was a hotly contested game. Evan, you probably played every point. And for whatever reason, they just kept letting guys go deep, and you were bombing it to them. And I think you won like a barn burner 15-13 game against a very, very talented NC State team. I'm talking Thomas Ward. I'm talking Ken Porter was on that team. They were one of those like huge schools in terms of like just the size of their average player. They had all these big dudes. And you had a really small squad. So we were on the sideline for that game cheering on Wake Forest. We also hated NC State. And I remember we started calling you Tommy Maddox because Tommy Maddox, of course, was a great Steeler, and you wore number 8, and you kind of have the same Maddox hair. Like you have like a very similar, like the part is exactly the same, and the ability to throw the deep ball. We liked Wake after that, and then you were calling games. I was like, oh my God, it's Maddox. Maddox is calling these games.
My connection's crapping out on me now.
Same.
I know.
Yeah, we almost lost it there.
This is the internet's way of saying, Evan, we don't give a crap about your fledgling college ultimate career. But no, I mean, as you could attest, I could sling it back in the day. Can't anymore. But no, it was.
What are you, 30?
Great.
How old are you?
What?
How old are you now?
I'll be 35 in July.
So 5 years from now, you could still make a AUDL team and play well, and maybe even go all the way to
Tim.
Semifinals.
You've now taken. It was cool for a little bit, and now it's like you're ageist. You have good genes. We get it. You're cut from a superior cloth.
No, Evan beat me. Well, no, never mind. I don't want to talk about it.
Yeah, let's tell this story.
Hit me.
I don't want to. No.
I've been waiting for a Steelers, Packers, or Patriots pick, but it seems like none of our teams are picking in the draft. So, I mean, we can tell this story. Our one-on-one pickup basketball, 2 a.m. All-Star Weekend. Tim, would you like to take it from there?
I would like to state for the record that while you're in the booth all day, I was on the field working, setting stuff up from 6 a.m. until 2 a.m. And I had too much to drink. And then we went and played a one-on-one basketball game in the dark on a basketball court that we found at a random park. And I don't recall exactly what happened after that.
You don't?
Aren't you like much taller than Evan?
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to go back in time and play that game again for sure, because it didn't work out the way I wanted it to at all.
Hang on. I'll remind you exactly what happened.
No,
I just
no.
gotta scroll back. There's some evidence.
There might be some video of it, potentially.
You beat me fair and square. So we just played basketball because you insisted we go play. And what happened? You beat me fair and square.
I never said
2:21 a.m. 9.
Oh.
Can I play it one more time from the beginning?
Yes.
Yeah, I guess so.
You beat me fair and square. You beat me fair and square. So we just played basketball because you insisted we go play. And what happened? You beat me fair and square.
Oh my God.
Bro, I mean, I knew it was late. You might not remember. It was important we get that.
I'm demanding a
I will say
rematch,
this.
though. The first time we see each other.
It looked like Tim had maybe self-handicapped a little too much before that game.
Here's the thing. I had too.
Yes.
I bet I had drank just as much, if not more, than he had.
Tim, I believe
I had also
think I
eaten
get it.
like the roast beef au jus sandwich with the cheese curds. Probably an hour before.
Who drove?
Yeah.
Who drove? You drove,
I
because
drove.
I said there's no way I could drive anywhere. Yes. And you took me in your car and drove me to basketball court and beat me
Yeah.
in basketball.
Well, that's true. I did have like a 7 a.m. flight, so
It's entrapment.
I was reluctant to play. But
Yeah.
I mean, it basically confirmed once and for all that I am a superior basketball player to Tim. The thing I remember
I think
most
that-
about that night is just how surprised Tim was that I had some game. Like, he was blown
I was
away.
surprised. I was expecting to just walk out there and just dominate him. But like I said, I wasn't my best either. We'll see. We'll get it. We'll get another game going. I'll take Babbitt. You get Rowan. We'll play 2-on-2.
Oh, you're going to take
what?
Babbitt to keep it fair, Tim? Is that?
I just picked two
You're
players
gonna
at random.
Take
You know
a
what?
dude
is
who's
a good
already-
player as well.
I bet Rowan.
A
Yeah, I
monster.
would take Rowan over basketball. I think.
Yeah, I'll take
I would
Babbitt.
not.
We'll go Babbitt if you're on. It's me and you. You have Rowan.
Amazingly,
We'll go.
there's still over 100 people. 136, 134. Do you have any messages for Pavel, who's the biggest fan of the Thursday Night Rewind?
Yeah, Pavel's been great on Twitter thus far. Definitely.
He really
I
has.
think he just got on.
Yeah,
He's been sweet on there. So Pavel, well done.
I agree. He's been everywhere. He's on every rewind, every chat, every thread on Twitter. I mean, he's kind of, this is apparently what he's only doing, maybe, is social media right now.
Like you,
It's good to have a
Tim,
hobby.
He missed the Live with Lep Instagram show last night. It wasn't the same without him, quite frankly.
Ooh.
But he said he had a Wildfire team meeting, which, we'll see whether. I mean, what are they
Doesn't seem
meeting
likely.
about? I don't know.
Sounds a little flimsy.
We still have practices. Zoom practices.
Who's been the MVP of the Zoom practices?
Colin Camp, maybe, KPS. Those two. I'm trying to think. I mean, it's mostly me just talking. It's hard because you have like a full team and we just go over, plays. We actually looked at a bunch of DC Breeze and Buzz Bullets offensive sets last night or 2 nights ago. It was pretty fun. I like looking at kind of unique offensive sets. That's something we were looking at.
What Buzz Bullets films did you pull from?
That was from them playing Sub-Zero at US Open just last year, I believe. Yeah. It really wasn't that interesting of a game, but their handler action is super interesting to me. Like they do stuff that other teams just don't do. And so that's usually what you're looking at.
By the way, Pavel says we were talking about Madison double teams because apparently we suck at them.
That checks
Yeah.
out. Checks out.
Yeah.
Are Buzz Bullets back?
Yeah,
Yes.
they're back, right? They were back last year.
They played at the
That
U.S.
was 2 years
Open this
ago,
past.
right?
They played at the U.S. Open this past August.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I think that can wrap things up. Anything else,
Yeah,
Tim?
that was great. No, Evan,
Tad?
appreciate it. That was
Closing
fun.
word?
Tad, super fun.
Fun times, fellas. Thanks for doing it. And Luke, thanks for coordinating, man. This was great.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Luke.
Hope you all stay well and healthy and stay in touch for sure. Thanks to the 125 of you that are still watching us over the NFL draft. We appreciate it greatly. This weekend on Saturday, there will be another triple header of AUDL Retro, including a Toronto DC game, I think from 2016. That was a thriller. And then a Raleigh DC game from 2017 that went down to the wire. Both might have been overtime or double overtime games. I need to research them to write a little preview, and that'll be first thing tomorrow morning. But yeah, the Retro Series continues on Saturday, and I guess I should stop rambling now. Tim and Tad, thank you. Luke, thank you. Everybody, thank you. I am Evan for Tim and Tad and Luke saying good night. This has been Thursday Night Rewind presented by